So, so that's what we are going to talk about today. I hope you're not too tired. Even me, when I heard the topic, I was scared. So I'm going to talk about it from a medical point of view, from what the convener of this program told me. So that's where I would emphasize on, but I'll also talk about other things. In 21st century now, it's present day century, sex is what is being talked about all the time. And I find out that with this generation, there's no inhibitions when it comes to sex. They just go on and on and on about it. You go on the television, you see young people, they have all kinds of stories about sex. And it makes you very sad because sex has been abused. I can say what is sex, we should define it, but I'm sure you guys know more than me, So we won't bother because everybody knows what sex is, but we have deviated from God's original plan because sex in itself is not a bad thing, but it's the abuse of it that is bad. And that's what modern day society has done. They have abused it and changed, tweaked it, and done all kinds of things. And it's just so funny, the things you hear about it. And I'm going to talk about it when I talk about it medically, I'm going to talk about the consequences of sex when it is engaged in premaritally and extramaritally. Because those are it's in such contexts that there's a problem. But when it's done within the right confines, the confines of marriage, then there's really no problem. So that's what I'm going to emphasize on now. And we all talk about pop culture, pop culture, pop culture, pop culture. That's all that thrives in society now, especially on social media. You find out that people will do, sorry to deviate, everyone has been talking about this conforming. That's the bane of this present-day society, where we want to fit in, we want to conform. So people are not able to be themselves. You cannot be an individual anymore. You must find a clique or a group to fit in. And in so doing, you compromise yourself, you compromise your standards, you compromise your belief systems. I went to a program like this, and there was a lady she's a lawyer now, has a very good job. And she came out, and she was talking about how whilst she was in the university, because of this sex thing, she said she was moving with some people, and that was what was trending. You have a boyfriend, you sleep with him and all that. And she was a virgin, and then because she wanted them to like her, she wanted to be in the group, she got a boyfriend and had sex with him. But she said when she was done, she wasn't happy with herself, that she felt very bad and all that and all that and all that. And that's what is happening in society now. It might not necessarily be having sex, but you just want to fit in, you just want to belong somewhere. The thing is that we must be comfortable being ourselves. You must not always join the bandwagon, as the other speaker said. You must be a non-conformist, but within the confines of your faith. If you say you are a Christian, then let it be that you are not conforming within the confines of your Christianity. Not that you are not, you go to where there's a traffic light, and then you say stop. You say because you are a bold person, you move on and say you are a non-conformist. That's not the context in which I'm talking about. When you do all these things, because when you go back in your quiet time and you reflect, have you done the right thing or have you not done the right thing? That's why I say within the confines of your faith. When we are talking about this sexting, you find out that a lot of people who do these things, it's a lot of pressure, and this pressure most of the time is imported pressure. I'm going to talk about the impact of westernization on sex in this generation. Now as Africans, we have lost our uniqueness. And that's what I like about us being Africans, certain things are very sacred to us. Our belief systems, our family values, our values as human beings, how we care and nurture people, family and friends. We tend to be there for one another. And these are things that are lacking in the Western world. You don't see all these things there. But we are shifting because now we feel that everything Western is good. And I tell you, everything Western is not good. But we don't want to reject it. And for those of us who want to reject it, we are ashamed to speak out. That's why I so agree with what previous speakers have said about, in my own connotation, I say dare to be different, but within the confines of your faith. And so let's talk about sex now. Because this sex thing is not, we are not going to deviate from those people who are Christians and those people who are not. It's happening, what is happening within Christianity is happening, what a girl who says she's a Christian, what she's doing is not different from the one who says everybody is doing everything. And this is down to westernization. We want to fit in, we want to belong. But the thing is that you have to have a belief system, know who you are. Some girls will tell you that they slept with a boy because he's my boyfriend, because he threatened he will leave me. And I ask, if a guy really likes you, he will honor your wishes. He will respect you. And if you say, I don't want it, I say no, he will step back and say, okay, so be it. He will not make you feel guilty and start trying to pressure you and take you on a guilt trip on whatever he has done for you, how he has helped you, and cajole you and pressurize you or even threaten you. Then he's not for you. Please let him go. He's not for you. If you know you want, because even removing Christianity from the equation, what are your moral values when it comes to all these things? Why do you want to compromise your stance when it comes to all these things? What is this thrill about sex? What is this excitement? I can remember when I was in the university and in my fellowship, anytime, all those years, maybe once in a year, they will treat courtship and engagement. Everybody will be excited once they just come, courtship and engagement, because they know they are going to talk about sex. But I'm sure now all those people are parents triple times, and I'm sure the excitement is no longer there because the boyfriend you've had dated, you've had the wife, you've had the children, and it's no longer so exciting. And so now that you're young, you have to be careful the choices you make regarding these things. The thing is that we have to talk about God's stance when we are talking about sex, because now when you talk to people, they just tweak it here, and you think that, yes, if I'm not married, I can have sex. That's because they'll explain it here, but do not be firewood. God understands now. When you finish, just go and pray and say, forgive me. The Bible is categorical about sex. God has said it, what is and is not. And so it is. There's no ambiguity about it's him saying that just because you're dating now, because he has said he will marry you. It's not there. He says married birth should not be defiled. There are different passages right from the Old Testament to the New Testament. There are different passages that has been said about it. And, I think to myself that when I see all these things that happen, that when God is, because so many times in the scriptures he's talking about sex. So it's pretty important to him. And then because of my profession, what I see, I started thinking that this, God saying we should abstain. You shouldn't have sex if you're not married or outside marriage and all that. I was thinking to myself, I think he was even trying to protect us, because if you don't have sex, it won't result in unplanned pregnancies, and the consequence of unplanned pregnancies are abortions. So as a young girl, you won't be seeking to have abortions. And then we also have things like HIV/AIDS. And I want to categorically tell you here today that whether you believe it or not, HIV is real. I worked as an HIV physician, an HIV doctor, and I saw those patients every day for a number of years. And many of them, it's only when they come with the test result and it shows positive that they start telling you. Of course, by that time, you are the demigod, and they start telling you, doctor, I never believed this, they warned me, but it's too late. The virus is in there. So don't let anybody deceive you that there's nothing like HIV. There is something like HIV. It's there, and you are getting it 90, almost 90-something percent. I'm not sure of the statistics now, through sexual intercourse, and then the other methods that are not so major, like blood transfusion and all of that. So those are also consequences of having sex. And then you also have things like hepatitis. You know, so if you are not having all this, you are not indulging in the act, you prevent all these things from happening. And then there are also some other diseases like what we call CA cervix, cancer of the cervix. Cancer of the cervix is not caused by you having sex. But, you know, note what I'm saying. Sometimes, if you have multiple sex partners, it predisposes you. There's a difference between it predisposing you and causing it. When you say you predispose, you expose yourself. You make yourself vulnerable. Let me give you the difference if you don't get it. Like if malaria is caused by the parasite, the parasite that the mosquito carries, P. falciparum. I'm sure you guys know that. That's what causes malaria. But if you sleep in a room that doesn't have mosquito nets, it predisposes you to having malaria. So that's the difference between something that predisposes and something that causes. And so there is a tendency for some people, not everyone. So when you meet someone that has cancer of the cervix, don't say because she slept with too many people. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it's one.